just want to tell you right off the bat that anybody who tells you that multimedia is the future is lying to you. That's bullshit. Multimedia is now. It's not the future. It's long ago. And I'll tell you this, I would not have survived this business, even going back 20 years, if I had not figured out how to do TV and radio and internet and magazine and print reporting. If you specialize in just one thing, you have very limited options in your career. And these days, because of convergence, you have like almost no options if you don't know how to do a bit of a lot of things now. First, let me tell you about UPIU. Does anybody know about this thing?
Yeah.
No. No, yeah. Okay, 1 yes, 11 no's. Jury. Well, it's a place you can self-publish. Just go to upiu.com, and it's the student site of United Press International, which is just like a wire service. Its story is all over the world. Actually tends to be more internationally focused than the AP is. And it's a place where you can get clips, where you can put up your own stories. You'll get mentor feedback on the story, modify your story, and you can do a screen capture, and all of a sudden you've published, which is really important, as you all know. Especially working in a big city, it's hard to get the coverage you're doing. Even in the Reader, or small papers. So getting on a website, it's got UPI associated with it, would be kind of valuable. What we always look for on stories that get published are typical, original, not aggregated, no quotes from other stories, no original 3-source rule, at least 3 sources, 800-word kind of standard length print story. Often better if there's slideshows or if there's multimedia attached to it. And the option good about this is a story that goes to UPIU gets the option of being picked up by UPI. Almost, not all stories do, very few stories do, but I work with people who want to work on their stories on second drafts or third drafts. I've gotten a couple pieces picked up by UPI itself. Unfortunately, you don't pay, but you get a clip, real clip on UPI, and you can sell the story and else. You retain the rights to your story. So what you should do is get a login, go to upiu.com, get a login, sign on, post material to the site, let me know by email. Find me under the mentor category. Let me know you posted it. I'll look at it. We'll be back and forth with feedback, and I can make your stories better.
Okay, hold on 1 second, Terry. So
sure.
upiu.com, you need to sign up for it, like you do with Pointer. Your 90-second video that you're going to do, you're going to post it there because he's going to give you professional feedback. You're also going to post it on the class Facebook page so that I can look at it. But he's going to give you, and the whole team of people at UPI are going to be able to give you feedback on it. So that's where you're going to file it as well. Okay? Does everybody understand that? So upiu.com. You need to get a sign-on so that you can publish it there. Okay, back to you.
Sure, and the other thing that's good about it is that it's just another content management system. It works very much like WordPress. So if you're ever trying to get a job in a newsroom, they'll ask you, do you have experience with posting and content management systems? Well, here's another one that you can say, yeah, I've done it here too. And that certainly helps to have people that know how to get their stories correctly formatted and up in a news environment and a content management system. So that's UPIU. Second thing is, who is this guy that's like pretending he's your buddy from the north side? And telling you that it's bullshit, that multimedia is the future. Well, I thought I was going to be a newspaper reporter. I thought I was going to be Woodward and Bernstein, and it didn't work out that way. Mostly because there was a strike on campus. I went up to Madison, University of Wisconsin, and there was a strike at the newspaper when it came time for me to do an internship. So I didn't get to do an internship there. I went to community radio instead and started working on citizen journalism. This goes back, this is like in the late 1970s. There was no internet, television was a joke. public radio was still very, very young at National Public Radio. But I figured out a way to do something that I wasn't really trained for, didn't expect was going to be the way I'd go. And radio was actually a lot of fun. Working with the equipment, kind of getting with real voices, editing, the physicality of actually working with the equipment and not just the ideas. I thought it was a lot of fun. And then I moved, in my career, I moved all around the country, which is very typical when you're working your way up in the journalism business. So I went from community radio to commercial television to public television, all along filing stories for magazines and for the Dallas Morning News. I was in Texas for about 10 years. Then I parlayed the ability to do magazine-like stuff on TV into doing hour-long documentaries for PBS, then History Channel, then Discovery Channel. So I kind of stopped out of the news business for a while and started doing historical documentaries for the Modern Marvel series or other shows on television. I sat in the Loyola University Hospital just outside Chicago for 5 weeks in their emergency room. Like, I don't know what year this was, the same year Chicago premiered on television for a reality show called Trauma Center. No interviews, no reenactments, no narration, just what happens on camera. So you never knew where these skills would take me. And because I knew how to do all of these things, I was able to cream the best of each opportunity. There were no good TV assignments going on. I could do something for radio. There's nothing good for radio, magazine assignment. Then the internet started blossoming. I got picked up by a website in San Francisco. That was amazing. We started working on sticky polls, quizzes, interactive features, videos that would go along with the environmental stories posting. So I know you've probably been hearing this from almost every speaker who comes to your class, but you got to learn how to do it all. And now I work for a non-governmental organization called Free the Slaves, and we fight human trafficking around the world. So I go out in documentaries, go overseas, going to Haiti in a couple of weeks, and I make really high-end video documentaries. But sometimes I have to shoot my own footage. I have to shoot my own stills. I have to write my own internet stories. Sometimes I have to build my own slideshows. I have to select music. And I love it to do a little bit of all of that. And I apply journalism skills to that. But it's all about being able to tell the same stories in multiple formats. So if I can't do that, I can't be an effective communications officer. And if I don't understand what a TV reporter needs, as well as what a magazine reporter needs, and that's different than a radio reporter, then I can't be a very media officer. So having your foot in all of these camps gives you options you can't imagine. I had no idea this 20 years ago when I got out of college, but I just want to keep beating that drum. Do it all, and now you have to do it all right from the get-go. Almost every newspaper or website has got some kind of multimedia demands on their journalists. And I'm sure, like the Tribune, is one of those that's very famous for reporters often complaining that first they're on, is it TV1, or then they're on WGN, then they're on WGN TV. Finally, they get to write their story for the Trib. And they're burned out by the time they go home. But that's just the way it is. The Trib is integrated, the LA Times is, the Washington Post is, they're integrated across these platforms. NBC News is. If you look at where all their TV correspondents show up all over the map on MSNBC and then CNBC and on the main NBC programs. So people have to know how to tell the same story several different times, keeping it fresh in often different ways for different media. Does that make sense to you guys? Is that the same lecture you've heard? Any questions?
Yeah.
I can tell you about shooting video if you want, and move on to kind of the meat of things, because I know that's the assignment that's at hand. And I don't know, have you guys started on your kind of 5-point rule and that sort of thing? Where are we and how things are going?
The very beginning.
The very beginning. We've gone over 5-shot sequence, but why don't you just start talking?
Well, I wanted to talk about 3 things they don't always teach you in film school. And that is to try to conduct a master interview and then shoot on the fly, as we call it. And often ask the same person the same things twice. The master interview is really important because that allows you in a neutral location. Don't do it in front of the same background where all the rest of the action is going to be, because then you get a visual jump from when you cut it out of the interview. But the master interviews kind of sit down or stand-up interview. People think. They often, if it's about deep issues, people often do that better when sitting and they're not moving their hands and doing it on the fly. And then you talk about some of these things with the same people on the fly. While they're doing things, while they're driving, while walking, while they're showing you the neighborhood, while they're showing you a photo album, whatever it is you're getting people to do to help create some action, you kind of duplicate the same question. Not all of them. Maybe you'll learn from the interview what you need, but you do both. And the reason the master interview is so important is it allows you to jump from place to place to place without those transitions feeling abrupt. That interview is like a sorbet that allows you to go from place to place. And there's a highfalutin impression myself as a chef. When you're shooting master interviews, you can do this different ways. Sometimes you can ask people to look straight to the camera. You will find most people freeze up when you ask them to look straight at the camera to speak. So what you do is you shoot them from one side or the other side. And that means you take the camera and put it on one side of your face or the other side. And you have to remember, don't just shoot everybody from one side, because you want people to be on one side of the screen or on the other side of the screen if you're interviewing multiple people in a video story. So the eye just has some of the time it's here or some of the time it's there. And usually what we call is the rule of thirds. You put someone about a third of the way over and a third of the way down. Third of the way, I'll do that again. Third of the way over, third of the way down. So you think of where your nose is. Try to keep eye line with the camera. You don't usually want to be having people look up at a camera and never down at a camera, because people never look glaring looking down at a camera. The one thing that's important about a master interview is no music in the background. No radio playing, no TV playing. Why do you think that is?
Distraction.
Any guesses?
Distraction.
Noise.
That's one reason. What's another reason you think?
Continuity.
Continuity. Got it. You'll get busted. So if you take this part of the quote and that part of the quote and put them together, people will notice that there was a jump in the music in the background. So there are times when I've wanted to, say, interview automobile mechanics in the garage. They always have a radio playing in the background. Please turn off the radio. And they interview the people and do everything I need to do. Go bang on that engine, do what you need to do. Then go turn the radio back up. Play it for 3 minutes. I'll record it just to record the ambience of the room, and I'll recreate that back in the edit room. Hi, I got a hand up.
Yeah, just a quick question. This might be a small form of it, but isn't that staging?
Say again?
Isn't it staging?
Staging.
Yes.
Yes, to some degrees it is, and in other ways it's not. In a news environment, I would not ask, like, the Marine Band play to please not stop playing taps, and then play it later after the body's in the ground. I make a distinction between people demonstrating things for me and people cooking, people working in a lab, people, artisans making things for me, musicians making music, as opposed to real events where they're really raising the flag of Iwo Jima, or they're really signing a bill, or they're really sticking a needle into a baby's arm. I don't ask for them to do that twice. And I don't ask the baby to stop crying so I can lay the sound in again. So yes, there is an inherent, in my views, degree of staging almost everything in television. And that's the ethical ability to capture the reality of the moment in a way that works on television. That is what I think makes it. I mean, you could argue it's staging or appropriate to edit someone's flow. So if you believe it, you never can edit anyone, you don't have to worry about playing the background behind. You can ask them to turn the radio or leave the room, but you have to make some accommodations for the technological aspects of trying to capture the story. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I mean, I've had that problem before in the past. It wasn't necessarily to do with sound per se, but it had to do with lighting. I mean,
yeah.
I mean, the one woman, I was in a place and the lighting was terrible and it was dark. I didn't have any lights for my camera. And she told me, she said, well, we can turn the lights up for you. She said, but it would have killed the ambiance of the event. So I told her, I said, don't do that just for me, because that would be staging. And I've been taught that was a big no-no.
Well, sure. If you're going to actually change the people's impression of an event, then you wouldn't want to do that. You have to figure out a way to work around what's really there. But if you're in a laboratory and someone's going to show you how to cook math, well, you know, they're doing this as a demonstration for you. So if you need to ask them to do action again, can you pour that into the beaker? Oh, can you pour that again so I can get a couple shots of it? Technically, that's staging, but the whole thing's a demonstration. If someone's digging fence posts and doing repetitive action, or cleaning chickens or meat in a meat line, and you cut together from one animal to the next animal as it comes along, and technically it's not the same car, it's not the same bird that was carved. You're compositing together. But so long as the story is accurate and portrays what the real scene is, and anything you're subtracting, you put back in the editing process, like the background music is there and ambience, then you're just doing it to make the story work.
Thank you.
Silent. I mean, there was a time when CBC and BBC would never allow music in a feature story. And those days have changed. There were days when I remember at NPR News where we were never allowed to edit the president. Those days have changed. So that some of that ground has shifted a little bit. Other questions? I've got a couple of tips for you. Yeah.
I had a question about your equipment. You say you do video. What kind of a camera do you use?
Well, depends on where we're shooting. Some we use a Sony V1U or Z1U. These are $10,000 HD video cameras. So we're working at an ultra high-end kind of videos. Our videos end up on television. Our footage ends up on, and so we shoot really high quality, really good lenses, good videographers. Other times we shoot just little $1,000 Sony cameras. Sometimes we use little spy cam that are just little button cameras that go. Sometimes we give cams our field operatives to just get some footage that looks grainy and scratchy and bumpy, and it adds to the field texture of what's going on. So you don't necessarily have to have great cameras. If you have a good technique, the camera can do a lot with whatever you've got. You have to know if cams, for example, you don't have an external microphone, you have to get close to people. You can't interview them far away because the microphone, people bounce off, all the sound bounces off the walls and it sounds like they're in a cave. If you have a little bit better camera with a microphone, you can put it in someone, you can frame it a little big and get away with it, not have to be so tight. You also have to realize that even though bandwidth is getting better and better these days for video, swish pans and quick camera moves often tend to pixelize online. And often people are not watching an image online on a 46-inch Sony Bravia. They're watching it on a 4x6, if you're lucky, window online. So extreme wide shots, we hope someone will see something in that shot. They won't. It's still a business of close-ups. You can shoot wide for context and for setting the scene, but medium and tight shots, and sometimes even extreme close-ups are really important for online because that window is pretty small. For audio, what we're usually using, and we're shooting with video primarily, there are now really, really inexpensive audio recorders. You can use your iPad or iPod to record. I use a little $99 Sony or Tascam digital recorder that saves it as an MP3 or a WAV file. And I use that stories that I've done for NPR, and it's perfect quality. It's the mic that's the biggest thing for audio, not the recorder device itself. Go ahead.
Oh, yeah. I've had this happen before, but what tips would you give if you get somewhere and you don't have good lighting? Is it just that you should always be prepared and be bringing lighting, but if you don't have that accessibility to lighting, what can you do? Like, what are some tips once you're in that situation to provide better lighting?
I think the thing is to do is just get outside that. Shoot what you can somewhere else. So if you're in a dark environment and you have to shoot your footage or B-roll, as we call it, inside some less than optimum environment, then shoot the master interview outside or against a window with light coming in from a window, or shoot what you can elsewhere. That's really the only thing. It's all about lighting, painting with light, really. So that helps to find out what the situation is going to be before you get there. That really is a big, I mean, that's my checklist. What's it look like? What's it sound like? Is there a generator running in the background? Because I often shoot developing conditions. Generators just drown everything else. Just avoid bad lighting. That's the only thing to do. The one thing that they always say about it outside is the golden hours, about 2 hours around sunrise and sunset. So if you're actually trying to plan a film shoot or a video shoot and it's all going around the day, shoot your exteriors and things that are happening outside in the morning before 10 and in the afternoon after 3, and then shoot inside during the middle of the day. You'll get the light in the middle of the day is very harsh outside. Got a couple other ideas for you besides shooting a sequence and making sure you get it from various angles. And that is thinking about interesting camera angles. So I'm just going to move my little camera around here. But you can think about using some foreground. See how the water glass there is in the foreground as I'm typing? It's sometimes taking your camera and getting someone typing from there. Or sometimes getting a super high shot of them like this is kind of a dramatic shot, as opposed to just a standard this, hands, what they're typing, side shot. Sometimes it's the creative angles where you put the camera on the floor and look up at the scene. Or you go up on a balcony and look down at the action that's above you. Or you frame it from outside the room through a doorway, or outside a window looking in. Those framing ideas help give some creativity to establishing shots, either going into the scene or out of the scene. And so just think about different ways to put the camera somewhere unusual. And sometimes a little bit of foreground really helps a lot. So if you're shooting a building exterior, try to find some cars in front of it or a tree in front of it that adds depth. I actually shot wide shots of a meeting from behind the corner. That kind of fur. It's amazing. Just a little something helps give some perspective to what you're seeing. The other thing is try to shoot along the line. So if you're shooting someone in front of a brick wall, don't just stand in front of the brick wall square. Stand them along the brick wall, maybe leaning against the brick wall with a shoulder. So they're along the line of the wall instead of square to the wall. And it just looks cool and it's really doing just where you stand somebody. You try to add depth to every shot. It's just two-dimensional. With kids, Get on your knees. Don't shoot down kids. Try to get on your knees. Some videographers that we go with carry knee pads with them because they know they're going to be on the knees all day. Shooting a video with kids, expect to be on the floor all day. So you want to shoot at people's eye line. You don't want to really shoot down at people. The last thing that I just want to be sure to say, because I could talk for a semester about how to make a video, but you have to actually make something happen. Somebody telling us about something is only part of it. Some action has to happen in a video for us to be interested for more than 15 seconds. Now, you can do that in several different ways. It means you can ask someone to look through a photo album if they're doing something about memories. You can ask them to do a walk and talk to show you something, to demonstrate something, some kind of footage. Something must happen, or else it's just going to be boring as hell. It's just a talking head. Talking head videos belong in the text story as direct quotes. There's really not a lot of value to that. One exception might be, say there's actually a really good story in the New York Times that posted yesterday with a multimedia component about beast truckers. If you actually look at it, their multimedia piece was they went and interviewed 5 truckers about their weight issues, and they just ran their voice with 5 or 6 still photos over them. So then they didn't worry about trying to make it a visual story because it isn't a visual story. So they just ran a slideshow with people's voice underneath it and did 5 different truckers about weight and their struggles with weight as long-haul truckers. But for us trying to make a live-action, full-length footage video, you gotta get out there. You have to figure out how something can happen. And it's also really important with the quotes you're going to get in video, the questions you ask will determine the quotes you get. You want people to say things, not just to say yes and no. So you have to be careful not to put words in their mouth, and you have to kind of take them to a place where you know they will speak with a quality of voice that will make it memorable. If you're doing a story about someone who lost a son to a drunk driving accident, you can take them to the scene of the accident, you can take them to the cemetery, you can take them to the church, that you will get totally different quotes from that person. And the audience will react to the quality of emotion that's contained in those quotes. That's the whole reason to be doing this on video instead of doing it in print, is we can see the emotion, we can see the mood and feel the way people are really talking about things. So where you bring people, how you structure what they're doing will shape the quality of what you get and how it sparkles. There's my speech. More questions?
Any other questions? Okay, so Terry, they will next by this time next week they'll have that stuff uploaded to UPIU, and then
right.
will you be reviewing the material, or will you and somebody else be? And what's the process for you to get comments back to them?
It'll be me, and I'll look at the video, and then when you post your story, could you send me an email? And I'm in the mentor list, so you can find me in the UPIU, and I'll just start typing my name and it'll autocomplete. Just let me know it's there, and let me know the headline of your story. That way I know where to find it. Or the URL. Once you posted it, it'll just post to the site, so it'll be easy if I can find it that way. Just help me so I don't have to go search for it. And because not everything makes it onto the home page. So if you posted it, you know where it is, then you can just send me the headline and the URL. And then I'll watch it, and I'll give you feedback. I'll type back by email, I'll ping right back and let you know what I think you could do to this piece if you want to do any more re-editing work, or some lessons learned if you don't have time to work on this one and just want to take away some lessons for the next one.
Terry, can you give them your email address?
Good times, guys.
Frankfurt.
Oh man, come on. Frankfurt.
Okay, we Okay, that didn't work. I'm going to give them your email address.
Terry@fitzpatrickmedia.com.
So Terry@fitzpatrickmedia.com.
Right.
Everybody get that?
Yes.
If he's spoken, he's going to freeze again. Okay. And so what we're also hoping then, Terry, is that we'll appreciate your feedback on this, and then for their final project, the video for their final project, we'll also have them send that to you at the end of the semester, and that'll be about the second week in December, if that's okay.
That's great. I'll be back from Haiti.
Okay. All right.
So yeah, no, do that. And hey, if you guys got other stories you want to post, you can just keep posting anything you want up there. And just let me know it's there, and I'll give you some notes.
Okay. All right, well, listen, thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Sure. Okay.
Thank you.
Have fun, guys. This will be fun.
Okay, so we're not doing like interviews on this though, right?
You're not doing interviews?
You can. But no, you don't have to.
I mean, this is not a news package, just to use the word that you were using. No, this is like those 1-minute pieces, you know, where you're really letting your video and your footage tell the story. But like with that very first 1-minute piece with the market, there was a voice in there, right? And both of the pieces had an interesting voice sign-off. The coach grumbling, somebody talking about the market. So, no, you don't have to interview anybody. You can. But you don't want so much footage of the person talking. This is a scene. Oops, I think I still have Ann on, so I'm going to put this so she can hear. Okay. So no, I would prefer, with 90 seconds, I would prefer that you do not really have a clip of somebody talking, focusing on their head. You can, maybe 10 or 15 seconds if it works with what you're doing. But don't give us more than that. What was so, and I'll put the PowerPoint up tonight. But you can look at some more of those 1-minute things. I think there's about 12 or 13. But look and see how those are done. It's all Nat sound that tells that story. You want the footage to guide it. You want the audio to guide it. No, there were no titles.
I thought the one in the market had a title.
Well, at the end it said, yeah. I mean, you're going to want to put at the end, you know, reported by in your name, because you want to give yourself credit for it. But remember, you're going to both upload it to YouTube so that you can post the link on Facebook so that we all can see it, like Marunda did with his pieces already up on Facebook. But then, Michael, you're going to want to also go on to UPIU and post it there for him as well. I did send him the link, but then you're going to want to do that.
Are we being graded on the story that we're telling?
I can post, I'll post the rubric that I'm going to use for grading.
Because like when you said, oh, you can just have someone do their like Thanksgiving.
And I said I would prefer that you didn't do that.
Okay.
But I'm trying to be aware of the fact that some of you are leaving the area or you're going home for Thanksgiving holiday. You may not have access to a community where you will feel you would want to do reporting. I'm being conscious of that. I don't want to bust in on your Thanksgiving any more than I want you busting in on mine, you know? So if it doesn't work and you don't have access, but I'm thinking, you know, even me going to my, you know, dippy little hometown, I mean, I could find something if I needed to, 90 seconds. Black Friday, there are things, you know, if you're going to be out of the Chicago area, you probably can find something.
So that's international, right?
That's the only, yeah, that's the only exception. It does not have to be international news. Because that would require you to do reporting in a community here in Chicago, and I'm conscious that not all of you are going to be here. Or you're going to be with your family, maybe your family's not international. You know, so yeah. So I will, but you know, yeah, if you fulfill the requirement by getting your grandfather carving the turkey, you are not going to get as high a grade as somebody who did more than that. But you will be fulfilling, you will be meeting the requirements of the assignment. I'm just kind of hoping that you know. Okay, so we will, let me pass out this story. This is I've posted this before. Has anybody read the Stephen Farrell's piece on Lens Blog about what equipment he has? I know some of you have probably probably read it because I posted it. You were not going to read it in class. I just want you to have it. But some of you who have been a little more proficient in multimedia and have questions about equipment, I would look at this article because it lists, you know, and at some point I'll give you a list because I'm coming up with a technical guide for the department that has what we would recommend for equipment use. He talked about a $10,000 equipment. Most multimedia journalists now go out with an $800 camera, which is still a lot of money, but either a Canon or a Nikon that shoots both video and still, but then has a way to plug in an external microphone. It's actually less expensive than buying a nice DSLR and a video camera. If you buy a nice Canon or a Nikon that can do both HD video and stills, it's the cheaper option, and that's what most people are doing.
Didn't he say that his tripod was the first thing to go? Is the story like when he started recording because it just
Because it's too bulky.
Yeah.
But if you have a $10,000 camera that sits on your shoulder, that's different than a flip, and you know, been out with your cousins the night before, so you're shaking. So, I mean, if you got a $10,000 camera, you know, that sits on your shoulder, you're going to have a steadier shot. But, I mean, I don't travel with the tripod, I travel with a monopod because it's easier to but that at least gives me some bracing. So it's good to have something. And, you know, for those of you, you know, when I shoot with the flip, which I don't do anymore because I do all my shooting with my phone. I'm doing all my video now with my iPod, my iPhone. I don't know if I have it with me. Yeah, but I do all my recording with the Zoom. So this is a HD, or not HD. This is a stereo recorder with a thing. So if you have a really good recorder, either on if you have an iPhone or a Droid that has really nice recording, you can do the recording just with you can do a separate recording because remember you're doing the audio track. You're technically wanting to lay out an audio track in Audacity and then pull that into iMovie. I mean, technically, you really want to fix your audio and get exactly 90 seconds of good audio and then match it up with a video. That's not as important when you're doing a sound narration because really it's the video that's telling the story. That's more for when you're doing voiceover and you want to stitch everything together. But most professionals, just so you know, even if they don't plug a microphone into their camera, they usually have an audio recorder because that's how important it is to get audio. Does anybody have any questions?
Is that thing, is that mic plugging into the camera too? Will it sync up?
No, this is my old.
Oh, I meant like to a video camera. Can you use that as an external mic?
This, yes, this you can. See, it doesn't have the XLR, but it has like just a regular audio. But this is what musicians use. This is a very inexpensive recorder. But for those of you who are interested, I am creating a technical guide for the department that has no dedicated computer lab. So we'll at least have that. So if any of you are interested, I will have that by the end of the semester. Anybody have any questions? Everybody has what are you doing for your 92nd?
Interviewing my boss who's on my school and watching her make some traditional Mexican dish.
Okay. So the action is going to drive it. I liked his point. I actually hadn't heard that before too. I liked his point about the master interview. And if you interview her in a neutral setting where you're just doing an interview with her, for even if it's just 10 minutes of just interviewing her in a totally sound-proof environment, and then take her into the kitchen and talk to her. What does that also do? It also gives you 10 minutes of audio that you know has worked out. I mean, you've got a voiceover, essentially, the person's narration. I actually have never done that before. I like that idea.
Well, you said you could use it, if you film them, while you're doing that too, use it to cut in between
the shots. Yeah.
So it's not so jarring.
Right.
Or just put it over the action.
Yeah, exactly. So then you've got basically two audio because you're going to have the audio from the video you're shooting and you're also going to have this nice clean audio. So I do like that as an idea. Creighton, what are you going to do?
Well, I'm going home this weekend, so I was thinking about all high schools playing their first ever state championship game. I was thinking about calling my coach and see if I can be on the sideline and do that.
Okay. Take a look at that 1 minute video
Yeah,
that they did. That was good.
Yeah, I was actually thinking that.
And you notice, I mean, he did make this point. You know, when you look at the 5-shot sequence, one of the shots is a wide shot, but online on the web, that wide shot gets lost. And you'll notice that on all of these 1 minute videos, the wide shots are really medium shots. They're not so far away. So take a look at that football one again, Creighton, before you do that, just so you see an idea of variety of shots. I'm sure you'll come up with your own ideas, but at least show you sort of like the framing for web, because, I mean, if you haven't shot a lot for web and you've shot for broadcast, there is a difference. So, Julie, what are you going to do?
I don't know. I honestly haven't.
You have no clue. Are you going home for Thanksgiving? Are you going to be in the Chicagoland area?
Yeah, Southwest.
Okay, so one of the things that we talked about before you got here with Dee is Black Friday. There's the Occupy movement. Maybe some of your town will. I mean, you can do something with Black Friday. You can, if your neighbor does a thing, or there's a a shop owner, a place you have breakfast with your mom. There's just all sorts of, think about your own family traditions and what you're going to be doing, and if you can step outside of your family, but to actually shoot.
Your town do anything for Thanksgiving? Is there a
turkey trot?
or even like, dude, see if there's like charity dinners.
I mean, I'm not worried about it. I'll find
You just don't have the idea. Until you get there, you have. I understand. Yeah, that's fine. Okay, Dee.
I'm not going to be downtown Chicago. I'm going to be 4 hours in Wisconsin. But I thought about either filming like my family, like my mom making something traditional and just showing how that's done. But I'd rather do something like a play on Black Friday somehow. I don't know what yet, but maybe something on that.
And you can do both. I mean, they don't have to both be for this assignment. Look, I didn't take a class to learn how to do this. When Slate hired me to do this stuff, I just had to know how to do it. And I learned how to do it by doing chili cook-offs and, filming my family doing stuff. And that stuff never was turned into a class, or I didn't do anything. That's how I taught myself how to use Final Cut, though. Was getting a neighbor to show me how to make something, and then and shooting footage and realizing. So, take the video camera. If you're going to borrow a flip it, just experiment. I mean, do your own little thing for your family. I'm sure your family will appreciate a little thing of your mom doing some traditional dish. That's a nice thing just to do for your mom. Just to create a little, and that could be your first little play, and then, because you're doing one video is not going to teach you how to do this.
No, I know.
So, no, but I'm just saying that, and then it's fun, right? Because it's your mom, and you're doing something cool, and it's a dish, and you're having fun with it, and it doesn't feel like pressure, and then suddenly you know how to use iMovie and Audacity. So.
If you want to add music to it,
No music.
No, don't
Absolutely no music.
Like set it to music? No.
Absolutely not.
Okay. No, I know, but like I just had like a thought
No.
I had. But no.
Yeah, no.
I'm just saying.
It's gone. The thought is gone.
Okay.
She got it.
So no music.
Anybody else want to use music?
No, I'm just saying maybe for an element of it, not the entire thing.
No, not for any part of it. Now, for Dee, if you're going to do a little ditty with your mom.
That's what I was thinking. Like,
So, yeah, but don't turn that in. I'll see it and give you some feedback, but don't use that for your assignment. For the thing you're going to use for your assignment, use it. Okay, Laura, what are you going to do? And the stakes are high for you.
I'm gonna be in Bumble, Wisconsin too. Believe me, I'm not gonna be in Norway.
Maybe I'll do something. I'll do a little 90 seconds.
Stands are hard for you.
Dude, you making it till Ferky.
I want HD. I want perfect sound. I want everything.
You make it till Ferky.
You haven't done one.
It's me. No, but we don't do Ferky. I do the corn roast. So I use corn, QORN. done? You're in? Are you making any changes to it?
Mine's kind of long.
What was it?
It's a refugee, and he's playing a little instrument.
Oh, yeah, it's really nice, but it was long. It's over 3 minutes, right?
Yeah. I was thinking there was a limit of 90 seconds. I didn't know that.
No. So why don't you go back, because you might have picked up some interesting, tips from him or whatever. You don't have to reshoot it, but why don't you go back? And I know you're going to be in California, and you're probably not going to have a lot of time, but maybe on the plane tomorrow or whenever you're leaving.
That's the thing. That's the whole reason why I wanted to do, because I don't have anything. Because I have a PC, not a Mac.
Okay, so when do you get back? Could you do it on Monday?
Monday night.
Okay. I know, but you got to shorten it. It's got to be 2 minutes max, and that's going to be going long.
2 minutes max.
2 minutes max, and that's long. Remember that's long. Okay, so John, what are you going to do? Mike. I'm sorry. I was looking at. Yeah, sorry.
I don't really know yet, but I'm going to do Milwaukee. I don't know. I'll find something.
I like the bar idea if you can pull it off.
I did a lot of bar shoots with my food reporter, and I'm telling you,
No, I know.
always had to throw that stuff
I
out.
know it's really hard.
It was hard.
I think something Black Friday.
Okay, we have to do it.
My mom gets up at like 4 in the morning.
Okay,
Go out there
that's
to go to Black Friday.
All right, you cannot send the video camera with her.
No. I'll go.
Doing her getting ready with
I want her like.
Hey, Mom, can you take this with you to the store?
Yeah.
I need a wide shot. I need a.
That would be a good shot though. I'm like right in the store. Like, just came into her phone. That'd be a good shot though.
Oh yeah, that would be.
Maybe like I'll bust in
Helmet
like
cam.
even when she's waking up, I'll just bust in there like
Black Friday.
It's Black Friday.
You know what would be better?
better?
Mike, what would be better is if you went with her and actually got people
go with her.
in line and stuff, and got some great,
Done.
So, John, what are you doing?
I'm actually, after this class, I'm going to be going to film Skydo with drum music that involves a very expensive series of kettles that he plays against a backdrop of film. So I want to shoot a video for him explaining what he does.
Okay. And you might, because you've had the advantage of listening to Terry, you might do the master interview before he starts. So sit down. But remember, master interview probably is not more than 5 minutes. 5 minutes is a lot of editing.
Yeah.
Just remember, when you're going to be basically using a 10 to 15 second soundbite.
Make sure you get your intern to transcribe your interview.
Okay. Dana, what are you going to do?
Well, I'm going to follow my little 3-year-old cousin around because she's a character and she's always doing something. She has new songs to sing.
Okay. So your challenge is going to make this look legit and not like a home movie.
Yeah.
Right? You're going to learn the technology, but that's going to be your challenge, is making it, because it's going to be a subject who's familiar with you. He gave you some good advice, though, right? To get down at her eye level?
Yeah. I did a piece with a kid before her.
Okay, so you're familiar with doing that. Okay. So you know that you're not going to be able to get a stellar grade doing a family member, but you will fulfill this assignment, right?
I mean, what's the difference between someone recording their mom or something versus
Exactly. No, that's what I told somebody though. That's what I just said. I mean, I just need to make this clear so there's no surprises. I understand that some of you are stacked up with Thanksgiving plans. I'm not going to penalize you for doing a family member, but you are probably not going to get an A on the assignment if you do that. I'm just so you, and if you're okay with it, that's fine. I'm trying to be upfront with you. So, I would prefer, because remember, this is going to UPI, and standards of journalism is that we don't interview people we know, right? But it's a holiday. I'm trying to be, I'm not saying forbidding it, but I think it's a great idea. I'm curious to see what you do with it.
Wait a second. So you mean I can interview my own coach?
Yes, you can.
Okay.
I'm not saying I didn't.
Just
I didn't say it was a
Just make sure.
prohibition. Does everybody understand what I just said? Okay.
Can you say it again, please?
No.
Over there.
Okay, Charmaine, what are you going to do?
Well, originally, I was going to film my sister Thanksgiving at our house, and she
kick out something fun, just for you. I mean, it's fun to do. It's actually, you can, that's how you learn to use the equipment.
Yeah, I'm probably going to do it anyway, just not for...
Yeah, exactly. Like what I just told Dee, you know, do it for fun. Do it for to help you learn how to do it and have fun with it. You've done something really cool. But then take, you know, 90-second video is not a long video.
Yeah.
You know, that's people, somebody 4 doors down raking the leaves. You know, I mean, seriously. I mean, you can actually have fun with this. You know, the garbage man coming. You know, and you know, or the day after thing, or Saturday. You know, just be creative.
Yeah, there's a lot that, because we live like in a subdivision, so there's a lot that goes on here. Kids outside, everything.
Yeah.
So
You'll find something. You find their football. People, you know, there's something. If you look at what I told my students from Amman when they used to say to me, oh, I've lived here my whole life. I'm going to live here my whole life. There's nothing interesting. If you look at something like you've never seen it before, if you look at your own neighborhood like you're a visitor, you will find things. You will find things to shoot. Okay, Brandon.
I have 2 ideas. I know a guy who works at a guitar repair shop, so I was thinking maybe going to filming him working. And then I also know a guy who's a barista in Belfort. I was going to just hang out with him for a day and watch him serve coffee and make coffee, because there's a lot of that.
Yeah, that would be fine. Hanging out with him for a day, though, you know you're going to get a lot of footage.
Yeah, but I'll probably need a ride out there, so we'll probably end up staying out
I
there
understand.
anyways.
Yeah.
So, but I have no problem sitting around drinking coffee all day.
Okay. Yeah, you do what you need to do.
I have a question. It's
Yeah.
just one person in our video?
No, it doesn't have to be one. It can be one person. It could be one person. You could get 90 seconds out of somebody tackling their lawn full of leaves, you know. Or you do, but some of these that we saw were like a market scene or a shopping scene. That's going to obviously be one. But if you focus on somebody who's one person doing something and it's somebody who's not related to you, then does that make sense? So it can be one person, like Barunda did one person. It was focused on somebody doing a musical instrument. It's a really nice piece. He's posted it on Facebook. It is very long, but take a look at it if you want it. The sound was really good. What did you shoot that with?
Flip.
With your flip, yeah. So you can get, it's not like the flip is going to always give you crappy audio. You just have to pay attention to the other sounds around you when you're using the flip.
Yeah. You seem to be, is it fair to say that you're more concerned with like the shots that we do, the way we set up our shots? That
I'm concerned with the 5-shot sequence, and I'm concerned with you telling a compelling story. You know, he made a really good point, which I thought was a really nice quote belongs in a story. That a video is about action, right? You're not taking a written piece and just kind of modifying it, you know, by putting video to it, making it. It's not a moving story. There's something compelling about it. It's why you're focusing on it as a video, and not why you would use video and not write a piece about it. So what does the video add to it? I mean, when I did that piece for Amman, I had 3 things I had to do. I had to write a story, I had to do a slideshow, and I had to do a video, and they had to all be different things. They had to all do something differently. And that's a challenge with doing multimedia. And this is going to be the challenge on your final project, because all those elements cannot repeat themselves. So your video is going to have to be different from your audio slideshow, and your audio slideshow is going to have to do something different than your story does.
Podcast that too.